Hey everyone, it's time to take a news dump.
Here we go again. Despite the fact that the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot and the insane discourse around it is all still pretty fresh in our minds, it's been confirmed this week that Ghostbusters is coming back, baby.
We did it.
Again. Look, how many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man? Now, okay, to be clear, most of the controversy over the 2016 Ghostbusters stemmed from the fact that it was a reboot. There were lots of people who opposed...
That was women.
There were lots of people who opposed it just on principle.
Because they have vaginas.
Reboots are generally shit. Rebooting a classic like Ghostbusters, a bit sacrilegious.
No, it's because they were girls.
Yeah, there were plenty of other very loud people who did...
Boo, girls, boo.
They did see the fact that the new Ghostbusters were all women as some sort of weird grand social justice attack to overthrow men, but let's leave that in 2016, baby, like so many other things from that year.
I saw it in theaters and enjoyed it.
I've still never watched it.
It's worth a watch.
Yeah,
it's a romp.
We'll see.
A fun romp with no consequences on the earth, as we've all seen.
I mean, I like everyone in it. I just never got around to it.
Get around to it. It's a joy. Not the best, certainly not the worst. Anyways, the whole thing was a bad time though. Eventually the movie came out, by most accounts, including me, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best comedy or sci-fi movie of all time, not by far, but it was watchable. Yeah. A plane movie. A movie you would watch and enjoy on a plane very much.
A bus movie.
You know,
watch it on a Greyhound bus.
I would say if you compared it to something like the Baywatch remake or the Baywatch movie, it would be like, I don't want to say Citizen Kane because I've never seen it, but that one, that's what people talk about that movie being good, right? Anyways, when you're trying to reboot one of the most beloved films of all time, I grew up with Ghostbusters, I loved it too. You still failed if you didn't make a perfect film.
Yeah.
Anyways, just when we finally managed to forget all of that and move on with our lives, here they come again. Here they come again, just like real ghosts. They're gonna give Ghostbusters another shot.
So the announcement via Entertainment Weekly, look, it does go out of its way to get ahead of some of the criticism. Unlike Ghostbusters 2016, this new Ghostbusters will take place in the same universe as the original, meaning it's not a full reboot.
Oh, good.
Secondly, it's going to be directed and co-written by Jason Reitman, who is the son of original Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman, and a pretty talented filmmaker in his own right.
He's got the DNA.
We can clone him.
Yeah.
He's most known for Thank You for Smoking, Juno, and Up in the Air. Last year, he released 2 movies that he directed, Tully and The Frontrunner, which both got pretty decent reviews. So he's no scrub at the whole movie-making thing.
He was in Ghostbusters as
He was in Ghostbusters 2 as one of the kids at the birthday party being like, "You guys suck!"
Yeah. So he knows.
He also looks exactly like Edgar Wright, and it weirds me out.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, Reitman told Entertainment Weekly, "I've always thought of myself as the first Ghostbusters fan when I was a 6-year-old visiting the set. I wanted to make a movie for all the other fans. This is the next chapter in the original franchise. It is not a reboot. What happened in the 80s happened in the 80s, and this is set in present day." Anyway, a day after that story broke, Entertainment Weekly, they followed up with a video teaser, which of course doesn't give anything away because the movie isn't even done being written. It does, however, seem to confirm that the original car might be coming back.
There it is.
Obviously,
there's the car, Ecto-1.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a car. It's not
Very fuel efficient these days. You'd think they'd switch to like a Ford Taurus station wagon.
Well, they probably retrofitted it with one of those diesel motors that you pour used cooking oil into.
Biodiesel. Yeah. Smells like a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, here come those Ghostbusters. They smell delicious.
Of course, there's still a lot of big questions to be answered. Will any of the original cast return? Will there be a new generation of young Ghostbusters? Well, to answer that second question, it sounds like the new generation of Ghostbusters will in fact be young. Very young. According to multiple articles from different outlets, all citing first-hand insider knowledge of the project, the main characters of the new Ghostbusters are gonna be children, aged 12 or 13. Tweens, as they're called.
Okay, this worked for Stranger Things. Why is this a problem?
You're right.
I do love that. Like, it's actually a bit harder for the internet to beat up on this because they're children. Like, hey, stop giving the kids a fucking bad time. They're just kids.
Oh, I think you underestimate the internet.
I always do.
And look, the very thin plot details leaking out, they seem to indicate the plot will revolve around a family who moves to a small town where some spooky shit happens, which sort of makes sense given that the teaser showed that old Ecto-1 station wagon inside of a barn in a place that's clearly not New York City. Mm-hmm. So again, more Stranger Things vibes.
Yes.
Small town, kids, ghosts.
You get the picture.
Yeah.
So we're going to be honest, these unconfirmed details about the new Ghostbusters, it's not very exciting. I just don't care, I guess. Yeah. Nothing will ever top the original. The sequel was the same movie, essentially.
Right. Yeah, we should have learned our lesson in like 1989 or whenever the second one came out.
Yeah, so...
Leave it alone.
I mean, it's entirely possible this movie ends up being great and everyone loves it. Sony is doing quite well recently.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming, Venom, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So who knows?
Yeah.
And these are movies primarily geared towards teenagers. I mean, we love them as well. They did a good job, but maybe they'll do the same thing here where it's like, it is geared for teenagers, but there's fun for everyone.
Yeah. Except
for trolls on the internet. Fuck you, you can't come. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about this. But in other Ghostbusters news, Sony's animated Ghostbusters movie that was announced years ago, it's apparently still in development. And while there's absolutely no new details or any details available for it, Sony's last animated movie, like we just talked about, Into the Spider-Verse, was fucking great. And imagining that same approach to a Ghostbusters franchise, that actually looks fucking, sounds cool.
Even just like the same, not the exact same aesthetic, but the stuff they did, especially with, I mean, technically the whole movie is a visual effect, but the stuff they did with the more like sci-fi stuff in Into the Spider-Verse looked really cool. And I can very easily kind of picture that being applied to the Ghostbusters. Just change the color palette a little more green.
Yeah.
Like,
their lasers and everything would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I might actually go do this too because I've been wanting to see it again anyway. But like, you should go see Into the Spider-Verse again in theaters because this was such a triumph of animation.
Yeah.
That it will be copied for the next 10 years.
Oh, absolutely.
And it will get worse every time.
Yeah.
So you should go see this again in theaters to like get like the one last hurrah.
Yeah, I want to see it again just so I can like just look
because
at everything.
This is going to be so played out within the next like 5 years. Mark my words.
Yeah.
Internet Today Nostradamus out
We're
it
putting
again.
halftones on our shading.
No, it's going to be that combination of 3D render with animation over top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like rotoscoping but leaving it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, another announcements that have us feeling ambivalent. It's been clear for years now that Hasbro fully intends on adapting every single one of its board game and toy properties into live-action movies. And next on its list is Monopoly, starring Kevin Hart. Okay. It's going to be directed by Tim Story, who directed Barbershop, the old Fantastic Four movies, the Steve Harvey Think Like a Man movies, and the Ride Along movies. And that's all we really know. And I'd like to say that's all we really need to know. I don't
need to know anything.
I liked Ride Along.
Yeah, sure.
That was fun.
Sure.
What would a Monopoly movie even be about? There's a really good chance that they could do some kind of deep social commentary. But they're not going to do that.
The original game was literally invented to push like a certain economics outlook about real estate and how it was concentrating financial power in the hands of the few.
Yeah. Now it's just a game that any fucking company can slap their logo on and sell because people are just going to put it up in their closet after they get it as a gift.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to play Fortnite Monopoly? No, I just bought it because it said Fortnite on it. The kids wanted it. Did they ever play it? No, I'm just a fucking idiot.
They're just playing Fortnite.
Yeah. The board game, it's literally just buying up Atlantic City real estate and screwing other players around with predatory slumlord rent practices. How you adapt that to a big budget family film is anyone's guess, and they're not going to do it the way that we would do it.
They're going to put Kevin Hart in a big old top hat and a big white mustache.
And he's going to be driving a big silver car.
That'll be $200.
We took everything literally. I'm headed down to the community chest. Don't you hate the gays?
Here comes a little terrier dog.
Yeah.
And a bouncing top hat.
Yeah.
And,
uh-oh, I'm in jail.
Yeah. So yeah, at least with like Battleship, the game itself was such a blank slate that all it had to do was to justify its existence as a movie was just include a battleship in the film.
And Rihanna.
Yeah. Just like as in the board game Battleship, Rihanna.
Yeah.
But what are they gonna do with Monopoly? This is like The Big Short, but for kids.
That's what I was just thinking, yeah.
Again, there's a lot of potential here to
Yeah.
teach some important lessons, but they're not going to.
No.
Wait, but who knows?
This is dumb. It's so fucking dumb.
It's
Never
very
even
dumb.
talking about it.
Upon looking into this, though, we are reminded that Monopoly isn't even the weirdest movie adaptation that Hasbro has in development. They got a Play-Doh movie and a Furby movie coming out at some point.
They really are trying to bring the Furby back. They've done it multiple times in the past decade, and it's not coming back. Play-Doh, I get the Play-Doh movie.
With Furby, all they had to do was redesign it so it's not horrifying.
Yeah.
It looks like a fucking rejected,
It's a
rock-afire explosion robot.
Oh, yeah.
Those creepy eyes. Just make it not look scary.
Yeah. Anyways, the fact that nonsense like this is being actively developed at a time when we've already got way too much content to catch up on, and will probably die with thousands of titles on our watch list, makes for a good transition to our next topic, streaming services and how complicated they're going to be making all of our lives very soon.
Yeah, first off, Netflix is raising their prices again by $1, which, fine. It's still a pretty great deal given the insane amount of content that you get for $13, whatever. That rate hike, though, might start to become a little harder to justify once every other media conglomerate removes their content from Netflix to put it on their own streaming service. We already know that Disney's been in the middle of a mass exodus from Netflix for the past year or so while they prepare to launch their own service later this year. We already know that the blood-sucking bastards over at AT&T plan to do the same thing with their new Warner content sometime this year as well. And now you can add NBC Universal to the pile because they've also recently unveiled plans for their own streaming service set to launch in early 2020.
God help us all. The unnamed NBC Universal service sounds like it'll work similarly to Hulu, with different tiers for ads or no ads. If you pay for TV through one of NBC Universal's parent company, Comcast services, the streaming platform will be free, but with ads. You'll be able to upgrade to ad-free from there for a price, or if you're a total cord cutter, you'll pay one price for ads and another price for no ads. In any case, expect by this time next year, if you want to watch all the shit that you enjoy watching, you're going to be paying for multiple different streaming services. So
yeah,
what I'm curious is what this means for Hulu, because Hulu is owned by NBC and Fox and ABC.
I don't know. They're surviving, and Hulu's releasing a lot more original stuff.
I'm very happy.
Hulu already has probably my favorite streaming company original show with The Handmaid's Tale. So they're doing good.
Yeah. I actually use Hulu 50 times more than Netflix.
Yeah.
I watched the Fire Doc, which I think we'll get to at the end of this. I'll explain my whole experience watching both of those in 1 week. But anyway, adding even more weird segmentation to the streaming landscape, IMDB recently launched their own ad-supported free streaming service called Free Dive. Anyways, if you're already as deep in this shit as we are, allow us to kindly recommend using an app like Just Watch to keep track of all the things that you watch, because it's impossible to keep track of what's on anymore. Luckily, I'm not telling people to go out and get a Roku at all. I wouldn't say that. It works for me because I can
does it track all?
No, it just has
it lets
all
you
of the
search
apps.
across all the apps.
And and I
use Just Watch because I'll remember at random times be like, oh, I need to see this movie, and I'll just add it to that list, and then anytime I have time to watch something, I'll pull up my Just Watch thing, and I have it set to I own these services.
Yeah.
What's available for me to watch right now that I've listed?
Yeah, I have Hulu, Netflix, and VRV.
Yeah.
I think those are the main three.
But yeah, people are you're gonna be forced to start, picking and choosing. Obviously, number one priority, Internet Today, Patreon.
Absolutely.
So you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. Maybe cut out Netflix or Hulu for a month to pay for that Patreon fee.
Raise your Patreon fee.
Yeah.
No.
Just cut everything else out and give us all the money.
Yeah.
Patreon.com.
We give you hours of content every week.
Hours.
It's killing us. Moving on to some lawsuit news, though. Netflix is getting sued again. Elliot, tell them about it.
Previously, you'll recall, Netflix was sued over the fact that a statue of the demon Baphomet in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina looked exactly like a Baphomet statue that was commissioned by the actual Satanic Temple, who were not very pleased to see their work being used without their permission. And Netflix ended up settling for an undisclosed amount over that whole brouhaha. But now, a similar lawsuit has popped up pertaining to that Black Mirror episode that dropped around Christmas, Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch, which is a great, fun name to say,
Bandersnatch!
was of course so noteworthy because unlike other episodes of Black Mirror or anything else on Netflix or any other platform, it allowed viewers to make decisions. It was interactive. Sort of like one of those choose your own adventure books. Well, turns out Choose Your Own Adventure is actually trademarked. It's the actual brand name for a line of books that was popular in the 80s and 90s, and the owners of that trademark are not happy about Bandersnatch. Or maybe they are now because they're going to get money out of it. They may actually have a pretty good case here. For one thing, in the actual episode, a story within a story within a story is referred to as a Choose Your Own Adventure book, which the rights holders, Choose Co., great, argue that it implies they're involved when they're not.
Yeah, they say they don't like the association here because the episode features references and depictions of stuff like demons, violence, drug use, murder, dismemberment, and other upsetting imagery. And this apparently tarnishes their clean brand. It's pretty ridiculous, but helping their case is the fact that, according to them, they were previously in extensive negotiations with Netflix over actually officially licensing the Choose Your Own Adventure name for interactive Netflix titles, and those talks, they fizzled out, and Netflix went on to do this, so anyway, they want $25 million. So we'll see how this turns out.
And you used to be able to do Choose Your Own Adventure on YouTube, but they literally just got rid of annotations.
Oh yeah, some people did some pretty creative shit with that. But I can't do it.
Nope. In other lawsuit news, Rockstar is dealing with some legal drama right now over the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2, it features characters who are private detectives working for the Pinkerton National Detective Agency, and those characters not portrayed in a good light. Well, it turns out that 169 years after its founding, the Pinkertons still exist. And these days, they're functioning as a private security contractor known as Pinkerton, which is owned by global security conglomerates Securitas. Last month, Pinkerton sent Rockstar a cease and desist letter demanding money for using their company name without their permission. And to their credit, how I would, if I was Rockstar, they did get the name and it's a detective agency, so maybe they did the diligence, but I don't know, it's fucking strange.
It's just weird because, I haven't played Red Dead 2, but if you look at, GTA, it's the whole game, it's all, fake brand names, but you know, what they're actually talking about.
Even they could have called them the Dinkertons.
Yeah. Anyway, Rockstar owner Take-Two, in response to this, they're now suing the Pinkertons to have Red Dead's use of Pinkerton characters declared as fair use. They're arguing that the Pinkerton National Detective Agency is referenced in tons of Western movies and TV shows dating back for the last century, and that all historical fiction would suffer if legal claims like Pinkerton's were to succeed.
Just change the fucking name. Point. Sure, but
anyway,
if they're saying that, then they also stole it from all these other old Westerns and stuff.
I don't know. I can see both sides of this one. I'm gonna be a real enlightened centrist right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
See both sides.
I see both sides of this.
Anyway, in response to Rockstar's lawsuit, Pinkerton's president issued a statement where he writes, "Pinkertons are seen shooting horses, shooting guns and firebombs into buildings where women and children are present, and as violent villains in the community. History tells a different story." And also, "Among our employees are fathers and mothers who now have to explain to their young game players why Red Dead Redemption 2 encourages people to murder Pinkertons."
Their kids are probably like, "This is fucking awesome."
Yeah.
I'm in the Rockstar game.
The game's rated M.
Yeah. For mature.
Yeah, this is always oh, what about it's literally on the fucking box. If you're complaining about your kids playing an M-rated game, you're the dad.
I'm just so upset that my family, the Montaros, are shown in Mortal Kombat in a negative light. He is ripping off their heads.
Also, Pinkerton, great Weezer album.
Yeah, fantastic, very underrated.
Underrated. I don't know if it's underrated anymore. At the time,
it was a flop.
I want to know the Blue album.
Yeah, it was a big flop.
And then Rivers Cuomo, he went and lived by himself for a year and didn't speak. It was a weird thing. But now I think Pinkerton is a very strongly appreciated album. Yes. Got some great tunes on it.
Anyways, more lawsuit news. I'm not sure why we didn't cover this one earlier in this week, but holy shit. What the hell is going on over at Gearbox Studios? Woo! And I should have had it in the gaming episode.
Yeah.
And it was so, I think, disturbing and weird that I didn't even think about putting it in. It never even got onto my list of articles.
Very, yeah.
It's crazy. And this Gearbox shit has been happening for 6 months with these crazy stories.
Yeah.
With their personal assistant.
It's
like,
a pattern
money.
of just nonsense.
And now I'm wondering if that personal assistant stealing money thing was like some kind of weird fucking play by Pitchord. Anyways, just a few months ago, a story came out about how CEO Randy Pitchord got completely taken advantage of by a personal assistant who says he stole millions of dollars from him. And now Pitchord is in some crazy legal drama with his former best friend who worked at Gearbox for years as their general counsel. Gearbox and lawyer Wade Callender have issued competing lawsuits at each other, with Gearbox saying that Callender stole money from the company, and Callender saying that while at Gearbox he was discriminated against for being a Christian, and that Randy Pitchord secretly gave himself a $12 million bonus from money that was supposed to fund game development. Where's Borderlands 3?
It's not.
At this point,
not happening. Yeah, so it's all messy, but the real juice comes from Wade Callender's allegation in his legal filing that Randy Pitchord is a pedophile who also hosts parties at his house where grown men expose themselves to children. Woo, why don't you have a seat? He's pretty light on details for that second one, but regarding the whole pedophile thing, regarding that one, he says that Randy Pitchord accidentally left a thumb drive with important company documents at a medieval times restaurant.
Classy.
And so someone there got it, and I was sort of holding it ransom or whatever, and it turned out that there was some illegal porn on there. Pitchord, for his part, actually weirdly confirmed most of the details of this story himself previously on a magician's podcast, because he's big on magic, but he insisted there that the porn was of the barely legal variety.
Meaning they were like 18 or 19?
She looks like a kid, but no crimes are being broken. And he says he was only interested in that porn because of the squirting technique being used by the performer. He said it was basically a magic trick, and he needed to figure out how she was doing it. I'm not jacking off, guys. I just want to solve the squirt.
Regardless, not really holding our breath for Borderlands 3 because Randy Pitchord is at best a weirdo with a penchant for, by his own admission, losing tons of money to people that he trusts.
Even in the best case scenario, he looks like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Hopefully these dueling weird lawsuits will help fill some of the Borderlands-sized hole in our hearts. It's fucked. Anyways, I watched...
You watched 2 Fire Festival.
Both of them.
I only saw the Hulu one.
So I watched the Hulu one and I watched the Netflix one, and I said earlier in the week that I don't think that you should watch the Netflix one because of how the Netflix one is portrayed at the end of the Hulu one, because the company that worked as the marketing firm for Fire Festival was the one doing it. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that they're both worth watching for completely different reasons. The Hulu one is more of a take on Billy McFarland as a person, his entire life and businesses, and also a take on social media influence as a whole, and like the society that we're living in now where your Instagram means more than your actual personality and blah, blah, blah. The Netflix one is literally a documentary about the rise and fall of Fire Festival. It is very focused, different interviews in each, they're both very interesting. I would say that whichever one you watch first, I would wait like I did at least a week, because watching the Netflix one, even a couple days later, the first 20 minutes are a real slog because it has to set everything up for people that maybe didn't watch the other one.
Yeah.
So you're getting the same information for the first 20 minutes of both.
One thing I read, because both documentaries were sort of taking shots at each other, but the thing I read, Netflix in them defending working with the same marketing companies as the festival, they said that gave them access to a bunch of like footage. Yeah. That they would have otherwise not. Yeah. So is there a lot more like insider footage?
Yes. There's way more of the actual
the Hulu
Fire
one
team.
is mostly like footage from Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, there's a lot more of the Fire team because they were basically told to keep rolling at all times when they were making the promo videos and stuff. Yeah. And there's some very, very interesting footage there. There's completely different interviews with different people from the island, and they're both worth a watch. I think if I had to say which one I liked better, I kind of like the Hulu one better because it kind of takes this overall jab at social media culture in general, which I kind of liked. Yeah. Because it kind of puts a little bit more of the blame on like the people who were duped by this. And the Fire Festival one is purely entertainment for watching this crumble, and it has a deeper look at how it crumbled. Okay. So there's that.
It's a very interesting case in like seeing two people tell pretty much the same story.
It is, and you know what's crazy is like Hulu did not give them enough time to even try to re-edit this if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. But the fact remains, without any coordination, they made 2 different documentaries technically on the same subject, which
That's
is
crazy.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there you go. Enjoy that for the weekend, I guess, if you have nothing else to do but watch 2 fucking fire movies like I did this week.
Oh yeah, and watch it, or better yet, don't watch the new John Wick 3 trailer. It's coming out soon enough.
Okay.
Guys, oh my God, I'm so excited. I watched it. I couldn't help myself, and I'm so excited.
I did not watch it.
Don't do it.
But you should watch the newest episode. We did a Tech News Day about Soulja Boy and all his tech products. And then we did an episode where Elliot reacts to just how fucking gory the new Mortal Kombat 11 is.
You kids are sick.
Oh, and we also talk about Fortnite being a front for money laundering. So that's cool. See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.